All right. We are in Parashat Re'eh. So Sefer Dvarim really puts things into order and really emphasizes to us the structure of things. One of the things it emphasizes is, especially as we see in this parasha, is the concept of Hamakom Asher Yivchar Hashem, the place in which Hashem will choose. And it really prepares to us a certain infrastructure of the life of the nation in its country, in its homeland. In other words, Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael, the Jewish people in the Holy Land. And of course, later on, where the center that we're going to be built over there, which is going to be the center of Am Yisrael. And, at that point, it will be Yerushalayim. Until that point, the center, the Mishkan, moved every time. It moved from one shevet to another until every shevet had it, and then they put it here in Bethel, and then they moved to Yerushalayim or Shiloh. So of course, that method, that structure, as the Jewish life does, Judaism is a religion of action. Judaism is a religion of doing. And by doing so, by extraction, we became very practical. And it creates a few chances of where each and every one of us is being called upon to come and to reach what we said, that place or that place. Parashat Re'eh is one of the few parashiot in the Torah that the Zohar does not talk about. And the meaning of that is, of course, since the Zohar does not talk about it, since the Zohar revealed to us, it shows us there's a tremendous hester. There's tremendous things that there's a big secret here, and it's really covering that secret very, very, very well, at least trying to. So if we're going to go to the name of the parasha, and the name of the parasha really connects to Re'eh, is to see with your eyes, to see. Re'eh, it's a commandment. See, Re'eh, I'm commanding you to see, to watch, to contemplate. And according to Kabbalah, that Einayim, the eyes, represents the Sfera of Chokhmah, and the Sfera of Chokhmah corresponds with the tremendous, or corresponds with like initial energy, which is really powerful, very raw, and of course we're talking about very, very strong, powerful energy that really would kind of wrap us and throughout this whole entire week. There is a reason why we read those parashiyot as well. And it's supposed to give us a certain type of a support for what we do this week. Now, for example, this week which is the Shabbat. Sunday is Rosh Chodesh. Now, without going into that, what does it mean? Put this in an analogy of your life. Put this in an analogy of your life that, hey, there's going to be what Rosh Hashanah represents, the time that we're going to go to judgment in front of God after we die. So we have a period of a month. In other words, there's going to be a period in your life that you would have to use your eyes to see certain things. That you have to watch certain things. Of course, that place has to be almost every day because you don't know when you're going to get the call. A person needs to be very careful. We need to be super careful with that. Of course, the parasha opens with the words. Honestly, I was thinking about it. I probably could have written a book about some of the ideas that I want to talk to you about today. So, if I'm sounding a little scattered, it's not because I had too much bourbon, because I didn't have any, but it's because there's so much to talk. I really don't know where to start. There's so much. That's this parasha. So the parasha starts with the word Re'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom Beracha Uklala. Watch, see, look, contemplate that I'm giving you today Beracha Veklala, a blessing and a curse. So of course, on the surface, it seems like God is giving to us two things: one curse in one hand, bracha on the other hand. But maybe not really. And of course, on that concept, there is a wonderful ma'amar of the Ohev Israel, which is a Rabbi Meupt, and he explains that when we are born, many things are being determined already beforehand. For example, who's going to be your parents is being determined. It's not up to you. You can choose what's the color of your hair is going to be, like this. What kind of a genetic, makeup you're going to have. That's already been determined to you. If your body is going to be storing fat here or going to be storing fat there, that's already dependent. That's given to you, and everything. So therefore, everything like this. Besides, of course, all the things that are dependent on free choice. Whatever is free choice was left to you. In other words, whether you're going to become a tzaddik or a rasha, a wicked man or righteous man, that's up to you. That's not being determined, and so on and so forth. And we get up every morning to deal with those feelings and the emotions that allows us to choose every single day between a blessing and a curse. And so therefore, in a way, a blessing and a curse, I want to tell you, I need to make another disclaimer. It's very possible that on the things I'm going to say here, there are going to be some people who are going to be upset about what I'm saying. That's not something new. And there are some people who maybe are not going to find it upsetting. But I want to talk to each and every one of you. Because it really has to do with each and every one of you. So the word bracha uklala, I want to suggest that it's not two different things. Since it's involved with our choice, I want to tell you, it is one thing. I'm giving you today a blessing or a curse. I'm actually giving you one thing. And he says, and this is all based on the concept of the Rabbi Meir. And he says, based on the words noten is written in over there in the Torah, nun or natan, noten, nun taf nun. And it's one of those words that you can read in Hebrew from both ends, the same thing. Palindrome, that's right. I have it here in parentheses. So you write nun, taf, nun, from right to left, and then from left to right, nun, taf, nun. It's the same thing. It all depends on how you're reading it. So if you look at this way, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has one purpose and one thing to give us, is to give us, or to be meitiv to boav, to do good with his creations. And the hashpa'ah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever happens, whatever he does to us, is good. We might not understand that it is good, but it is good. And therefore, the bracha or the kala, that one thing, is basically the way, haderech, the way in which we relate to reality. That way is within our control, and we are the one who determine it. In other words, remember what I told you many times, I told you today also. You got to make up your mind, you got to know what you're doing, and you got to own your decision. Many people don't want to own their decisions. They make it in such a way, they ask those open questions that somebody else will tell them what to do. If things work, well, they get thumbs up to themselves. If things don't work, they blame the other. You got to own your decisions. So the way in which you go, that's the way in which we are talking about. And that is how we relate to reality. And this is absolutely in our control, and we are the one who determine. So the Ohev Israel calls it ha'emet ve'hasheker, the truth or the lie. And in other words, the way in which we related and we responded to situations that were in our lives that's the way. The sheker, the lie, is dealing out with minutiae, with little things, is with small details of life, with the unimportant things of life. Like, for example, who said, what said, why did they say, and so on and so forth. to get angry, to give up, that's dealing with the minutia. That's dealing with inappropriate things. Like, for example, people spend so much time, and for me, it really does not make sense. Let me ask you a question. Is a Ford Mustang GT a good car? Yeah. Who would not mind to have it? You would mind to have the Mustang GT, Eitan?
No.
You would not mind. How about if I give you a free Mustang GT? It doesn't come in a Shelby, but let's go Mustang GT, right? Mach 1, which is like 50,000, whatever it is. You will take it if I give it to you?
Take it.
Take it. I forgot to tell you. It's going to be in pink color. Bazooka pink. You'll take it?
I'll wrap it.
No, don't wrap it. You have to take it the way it is. You'll take it? I'll take it. What do I care what color the car is? I'm driving the car on the inside, I'm driving on the outside. How much people are wasting time on nonsense like that? On color of things. It's nonsense. Shtuyot. Absolutely nonsense. So, and the emet is, let's put it this way. The sheker is also our lack of ability to enter light into our life. For example, if we call Torah, or if Torah is light, Bitul Torah will be choshech, will be darkness. Bitul Torah will be sheker. And that's what they say. If a person throws away the life of Torah for havalim of this world, it's like moser nafsho beyado. It's like, you out of your mind. That throwing back Torah out of your life will bring darkness into your life. You involve yourself into darkness. If you need to work or whatever, it's fine. But you need to really do whatever you can. Mamash tachbulot. All kind of planning, all kind of scheming to be able to gain more Torah, to learn more Torah, and so on and so forth. And for you, Torah is Ya'areg V'Bal Yavo, because it's not just learning. It's walking in a certain path, is bringing light into your life. It's a choice whether you want bracha or you want klala. You want blessing or you want a curse. So the emet, therefore the emet is when we were able to go into the situations in life that we come into and actually put the light in it. To understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved in everything that we do. To understand the concept of Hashem is in front of me all the time. And everything that happens from Hashem. And I don't need to understand everything. And that's the way it is. But I know that ultimately it's good. How? I'm not quite sure. Listen, I'm very limited. I'm only a human. And in that emet, right? And that's why, of course, and bringing the light into your life, this is really the purpose of life. That's your purpose. If you think about it, why did I come to this world? What's the purpose of this world? It's like, our purpose is to bring light into our lives. To bring light into those vessels. To bring light into decisions and actions that we do in situations that we find ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to be constantly focused in our thoughts in the concept of emet. In other words, that we are a vessel that produces light because, we understand what it is, and by doing so, the emet, light, would be, inside of us all the time. In other words, again, that's one of the concepts of Shiviti Hashem. I'm contemplating God in front of me all the time. I'm making decisions that would be good in the eyes of God first of all, then man. Of course, there is a tremendous remez here, and we need to understand exactly what it means. These are, again, just on that we can write a book. But since Judaism is very practical, and yes, sometimes it seems to us that because we live outside of Israel, and we are not, even if we live in Israel, we're not farmers, and so on and so forth. It looks like there's a whole section of the Torah that really does not apply to us. But that's not true. That's not accurate. That's just the way we choose to see things. It's very comfortable for us, but it's not really like this. And I'll give you an example. For example, when we're talking about bikurim, bringing your first produce of the land, and in our parasha we're talking about maaser sheni. We spoke maaser sheni, maaser ani, all these things. Yeah, so therefore, there is a concept of you have to reach the place, right? And over there, which is very interesting, it's fascinating. The Torah says, "V'chi yarbe mimcha derech," and all of a sudden, it's going to be a big schlep for you to go there. Ki lo tochal seato, and you can't really carry this whole thing, or you can't walk this whole thing. Ki yirchak mimcha hamakom asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha lashum shemo sham. It's going to be far from you. What? The place that God has asked for you. Yes, we know what it is. And then it says, Ki yivarechecha Hashem Elokecha, because God will bless you. In this case, of course, we don't need to bring the produce. We don't need to bring the produce to the place, which in this case will be Jerusalem. But I want to offer you something else. It does not necessarily mean a physical. Yes, the practical means, yes, to go to Yerushalayim and to eat the Maaser Sheni in Jerusalem. But there's more to that. That's not necessarily always physical. And so we need to go there and to buy new things and rejoice them in front of God. We need to buy things and rejoice them in front of God. Right? So if you have a very sensitive ear, you would see that there is a certain repetition that is not really needed. Ki yirbe mimcha derech, that's one thing. The road is going to be, the long and winding road is going to be very long. Lo tuchal seto, you can't carry it. And also, yirchak mimcha makom, the place is too far from you. What does it mean? What is this? Why do we need this repetition? Now, Rav Shimshon Hirsch, that died, and anybody knows when he died? Pay attention to the date, 1888. He was born 1808, died 1888. Says that repetition stems from because the heiter, the permissible act not to go is very, very weak. And the Torah wants to hint to us, because that is, according to him, that it's better to overcome the difficulty, even though the road is long, right? You ain't heavy as my brother. And even though you can't carry the weight, but then again, it ain't heavy as my brother. The road is long, in which there is no return. You know this song, guys? You know this song? No, you should listen to it. It's very appropriate to this parasha. Hello, Isaac. ¿Cómo estás, Cohen? And you can't carry the weight, right? There's also a wonderful song by the band. It's called The Weight. And even though it's far, and I really want to go to the opposite direction, comes the Torah and tells me, and tells it twice and three times, and to clarify what is not necessarily clear, that is what? That it's allowed, that I'm allowed to say it's hard for me? In other words, wait a minute, am I allowed to give a discount to myself? What does it mean? It's not so clear, because culture, our culture, and especially religious culture, are often and many times calling men to overcome the difficulties and not to surrender, to fight, to reach the top, to reach the peak, regardless of all difficulties. And the Torah wants to hint to us that it's preferred to overcome this difficulty, even though that the road is long, and even though that you can't carry the weight, and even though that it's far, and even though I want to go behind, I want to go in a different way, yes. So that's a very new concept to us. In Jewish sources, as usual, of course, there's always a machloket, a disagreement, or I really don't like the term disagreement, different opinions. And there are other voices for that as well. And there are few voices that don't share this opinion. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot in Daf Hey, Amud Bet, tells us about 3 Chachamim that became weak and they got ill. They didn't have COVID, but they were, right? So it was Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Elazar. So the first two were asked, Chavivin alecha yesurin? Is suffering something you're looking forward to? And the answer was, Lo en velo scharan. Don't give me pain, don't give me agony, and keep the rewards for yourself. I don't want that. And that answer, of course, led whoever was talking to them to give them a hand and to support them from their bed, right? And basically help them. Rabbi Elazar was sitting down and crying. And when he was asked, why are you crying? So he says, Al yofyo shel haguf shebala be'afar. On this beautiful body that got disgraced, and is going to get disgraced in dirt. You know, I don't have to tell you what happens when you die, right? I don't have to tell you that, you know, I wouldn't say all, but almost all, if not all, don't age gracefully. You look at pictures of people when they were young, you look at pictures of when they were old, and you're saying, oh my goodness, what happened? The beautiful woman turns into a wrinkled bag. The old muscle man turns into a bent over, a bent over old man. Baruch atah Adonai el melech haolam shekol yaddo. It's getting old is not a pretty business. Getting old is not a pretty business. So when and all these stories over there brings us what makes us aware about a certain stance that we have to take in life. The fact that there is a body, the fact that there is health, and the story that he tells us, the position that he takes is try not to torture yourself too much. There are those who encourage you to suffer and to live in difficulties and so on and so forth. Those people usually like to suffer. Like, for example, I know some people who used to like to roll in the snow. I mean, like, you have nothing else to do. Okay, if you are Wim Hof, I hear you. But to roll in the snow, I mean, or to do fasting upon fasting upon fasting upon fasting, you know, it's not something that is so necessary. And there are those who call this misery, agony of love, right? But those chachamim, and listen, we're talking about tremendous people, Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Elazar. They're greater people than we will ever be. And they say, take away this misery, we don't want it. Take the difficulty, we don't want it. Take this dealing with things, and they will prefer simple health, that it's life that is healthy, that it's flowing, and they want that connection to life, but not to ta'ava. They don't want to sit in the Dominican Republic with a gold chain on on yourself, boiling yourself like a lobster from Maine, and eating all you can eat and all you can this and all you can that. They don't talk about that. They say, listen, just give me good health. I want to connect to life. They want to connect to life from a place of joy, from a place of there's another reason for me to live. Life is good. I didn't say it's easy, but it's good. I don't need pain. Pain puts me down. It's a completely different way than what we got used to. And listen, there were great people, and yet they understood something that we very easily throw away. And I think that most of the time we throw it away is because it's easier for us to go after our desire, and it's easier for us not to connect to life, and to simply and it's easier for us because it gives us a chance to complain. We like to complain, and especially complain for no reason. Complaining ain't gonna get you anything. But when you're doing things and you're happy and you're connected, there's no reason to complain. It's the same thing like Bnei Israel. Mitonenim, they used to complain. Why do you complain? Well, we want food. You have man from the heavens. Well, we want meat. Well, you have Slavia, whatever you want. No, it's not enough. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, guess what? Whack. What are you complaining? I'll give you everything you want. Their approach of connecting to life is completely different. And that's a certain balance that they were looking for to reach in life. Is not to suffer but to connect, to give me more koach to connect to life, to bring light, to teach, to do all these things. The Mishnah in Masechet Brachot, in Perek Vav, in Brachot Bet Vav, right? Perek Bet Vav, Mishnah Vav, tells us that Rabban Gamliel took a shower, went to the bath on the first night after the death of his wife. So his Talmidim were throwing back at him. Didn't you teach us, our rabbi, that a mourner is not allowed to take a shower? So he said to them, I'm not like everybody else. Istanistani. I'm very particular with my body. Rabban Gamliel. So here, Mr. Brightline. Okay, what the heck does that mean? Istanistani. Oh, he's very, he has eczema. No, that doesn't mean. You're missing the point. Everybody, I'm going to tell you this. Everybody concentrates on the word istanis and they think, okay, we write check mark. Okay, istanist. But the emphasis should not come on the word istanist. The emphasis should come on the word ani. Rabban Gamliel understands who he is. He's not trying to deny who and what he is. You might say you are istanist, but is this really you? Argument's sake, how many times you went to sleep without taking a shower at night? Don't tell me you're istanist. Right? If I'll tell you, for example, Yom Tov, you cannot take a shower. So no, I have to every day. So every day you take a shower during your life. Every day. How many nights you went like this? Maybe there were even 2 nights that you didn't take a shower because you're too lazy, watching whatever you were watching, Family Guy, until like 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 nights.
What?
3 nights. After camping.
Right? So don't tell me Istanist. You're going after Ta'ava. Rabban Gamliel understands first of all who he is. Do you know who you are, Bichlal? Or you're trying even to hide? Are you putting up a big show that you, to so much, not only that other people don't know who you are, you don't know who you are. Rabban Gamliel knows who he is. He's a very sensitive person. And he acknowledged the fact. I'm a very sensitive person. And I'm feeling very uncomfortable not taking a shower every single day. And he tells himself that, yes, he gives himself a halacha. Tzaddik, we might be a little late. Is that okay? He gives himself a halacha that he's allowed to take a shower during his morning days. Even though he told his students not to do so. He says, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. Rabban Gamliel continues, in a way, the tradition of his forefathers, his teachers. That was maybe one of the biggest difference between. Where's the other picture? Okay, maybe we'll do it. He has no, we won't be able. These are one of the biggest difference between Shammai and Hillel. And Shammai, when Shammai used to find a good piece of meat, he used to take it and put it to the side for Shabbat, right? And next day he would go to the market, he would find a better piece of meat, he will eat the first one and then keep the other one, and so on and so forth. If he did not find anything better, he would wait and eat the first one on Shabbat. In other words, he would not touch it. Until he found a better one, he would not touch it, he would save it for Shabbat. On the other hand, we have Hillel. Everybody knows that story. But what with Hillel? Hillel, when he used to find a good piece of meat, he used to eat it on the spot, that day. However, isn't that a little bit of Baal Ta'ava? Chas v'shalom to say like this about Hillel. But there's something here. So the Talmud, the Gemara, established the whole world of Hillel on a totally different theological concept whatsoever. And it seems that we're talking about something much more fundamental than that. Hillel obligates you to life. Hillel obligates you to life. He wants to enjoy life, and there's nothing wrong, by the way. I'm going to tell you this. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life. Of course, if that becomes the focal point of your life, that's going after your ta'ava. And then they go after the heart. But Hillel says, listen, life is difficult as it is. I don't need to make my life more difficult than what it is. Excuse me, I see a good piece of meat, I eat it. And why? Hillel, if Shammai has, for example, if Shammai see something, he would start, be more of like of a martyr. He would suffer. He would make himself difficult. Hillel brings this kind of life world takes it to the extreme. I say something, I eat it, and of course, where is he coming from? Where is Hillel coming from? What's so great about Hillel? Maybe Shammai is better. I mean, not that I could understand any of them in terms of that, but let's see what it comes like this. So therefore, the Gemara tells us, Gomel nafsho ish chesed, when the Pasuk tells us, Gomel nafsho ish chesed, that refers to Hillel HaZaken. Shebesha'a shaya niftar mitalmidav, when he used to go back, depart from his students, haya me'alech ve'olech imahem. He used to go and walk with them. He used to walk them. Instead of them walking, he used to walk with them. Amru lo talmidav, his talmidim, his students say, Rebbe, le'ichal ata olech, where are you going? Amar lahem, la'asot mitzvah. That's a mitzvah. Amru lo, and they said to him, V'chi ma mitzvah zu? Which mitzvah are you going to? So he said to them, Amar lahem, lirchotz bebet hamirchatz, to go to the bathhouse to take a shower. To wash myself. To go to the onsen, right? Amru lo, v'chi mitzvah? That's a mitzvah to take a shower. It's a mitzvah. Think about it tonight when you don't take a shower. V'chi mitzvah? Amar lahem, yes. Of course it's a mikvah. A mitzvah. בונו של פתח תקווה, עזוב אותי כבר. All right, put it on silent. Right? And what's mitzvah? So he said to them, מה עם איקונים של מלכים שמעמידים אותם בבתי טריטיות ובקרקסאות? What if they take a statue of emperor, of the Caesar, of the king, or whatever it is, and they put it in the marketplace, right? מי שנתמנה עליהם הוא מורכן ושוטפן, right? Whoever is in charge of that statue, he cleans it up, he shines it, and so on and so forth. And because of that, ma'alim lo mezonot, they give you food. All his job is to clean the statue. It says, velo od, shehu mitgadel im gdolei malchut. Not only that, when the people come in, all the important people, they come to show that, so he's together with them. I, shenivrati betzelem ubedmut, I that was created, as it says in Bereshit, ki betzelem elokim asa et adam. Man was created in the image of God, al achat kama v'chama. So to Hillel, even taking a shower is a mitzvah. Going to the bathhouse, hot water, like you're going to a Japanese onsen, nice like this, that's a mitzvah. The Talmidim of Hillel don't understand him. They don't understand because his way is different. They got used to, if you're a religious man, you gotta suffer. They don't understand Hillel. The way of Hillel is a way that says yes to life, yes to good things, to living, to experience life, not to suffering and to enjoy the good things of life. Like for example, to put so much salt in your food that you can't enjoy it, that's not the way of Hillel. I'm not saying to everybody it's right or it's wrong, but that's not the way of Hillel. That's not the way of Hillel. Of course, the way of Hillel was Baruch Hashem Yom Yom. Hillel, his approach is, when he was eating the meat, is God will provide me every single day. It's a totally different way. I'm not worried about that. God will give me. And that's a very different way to look at things. Now, remember, I asked you when Rav Shimshon Hirsch was Nifta, right? 1888. Lehavdil, Amavdil ben Kodesh Lecho. A person that was born in 1844 and died in 1900, more or less around the same time, was no one else than Nietzsche. He saw the difficulties and suffering, the biggest downfall of religious life or religion altogether. And he claims that the fundamental assumption of religion is that by you being a man, you already got your reward. And not only that a man is ruach, is a spirit, and the goof, the body, is only an obstacle. However, right, to claim against him, and it seems that maybe that's the claim of Hillel, that's the way of Hillel approach, is that man, because Nietzsche was a philosopher, so he didn't want to admit to the side of the body. Hillel says no. Man, what is man? Is the body and the soul. It's the body and the soul. And you need to address both of them. You need to address your body. In other words, you must maintain your body, you must maintain your health, and that would mean, for example, not drinking iced tea all day long, and and taking care of your body, and trying to be healthy, and also make sure that spiritually, that's also not so good for you, but it's okay. To make sure that spiritually you're also maintaining your neshama. And that's very important. That's very important. There are those light-headed people, what we call intellectuals, that always like to make fun, a bunch of Ameratzot, always want to make fun the heroes of the Tanakh. And they usually pick up a person from the Tanakh and they make fun of him when they're in the weakest point. But I want to show you something else. In other words, they always ask the question, where is God? Where was God when, let's say, Shimshon was captured? So now let me tell you this. If you look at Shimshon, he fought all his life against the Plishtim, not the Palestinians, the Philistines. However, when he was the weakest of all, when they cut his hair, they blinded him, they put him in chains, he was able to knock down those two towering pillars and to kill more Philistines that he killed during the time that he was at his peak. So we need to understand where is he coming from, because he asked Hashem. He did not abandon Hashem. He didn't come to Hashem. Hashem, why did you leave me alone? He owned his decision. He called for Hashem, and then Hashem granted him what he wanted. And then we'll touch this a little bit longer, maybe like 10 more minutes or so. Maybe. So, we need to understand that all the time we're under we started late today.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Under the lightning of Re'eh Anochi, C-I, Hashem, Re'eh Anochi, I'm giving you bracha ve'klala. Under this endless light that could not be even grasped. And the question is, what do we do with this light? What do we do with this tremendous enlightenment? So the Mekubalim explain to us the two different types of light. There's Or Yashar and Or Chozer, direct light and reflective light. Or Yashar, it's that light that comes directly from the source, and it's also called Or de Chokhmah, the light of Chokhmah. Remember, we spoke about Chokhmah earlier, right? And that light of Chokhmah is the raw energy, very concentrated raw energy, that it's really has the ability. It's so raw, it's so that it burns and it
Unfiltered.
Not unfiltered, it burns, it basically burns. Sears and burns and so on. Even though that light is called light, right? And that light is called the light of life, the only way to receive the light of Chokhmah and to hold it is to know that it's not ours. And that's why it's a Chacham. If you know that it's not his koach. It's not, if you're going to say, Kochi ve'otzem yadi, my power, my talent did this, you lose the Chokhmah, אתה טיפש, אתה לא חכם, and that brings you down. But if you understand that everything that you have was given to you from Hashem, and you hold it because you know Hashem gave it to you, you're able to, and it's not yours, so you're able to share it with others. And when you share it with others, right, you are turning it into something more productive. In other words, if you are very shrewd and you're making a lot of money and so on and so forth, where did you get your intellectual abilities? You know, Hashem gave it to you. Even if you were smart, I know many people who were smart, they can't make a penny because God did not give them the opportunity to. But let's say God is giving you the opportunity to. Well, what are you going to do with all your money? Let's say you have 10, 15, 20, whatever, $100 million. That is going to burn you if you're not going to do something good with it. Just share it. How much money do you need? Really. If you go after your ta'ava, your desire, it's never going to be enough because I always want more. I need a house in Acapulco. I need a house in Montana. I need like, what's his name? This guy, I don't want to mention his name, but he has a TV channel, had a TV channel. He's like the biggest landowner in the world. Owns like 1 million acres. What in the world do you need this for? A house in Hong Kong. How many houses can you be in one time? But is there peace in your house and you are? No. But you have many houses. So what do you need this? Give it to people. Share it. Not after you're dead. I want to see you giving it up when you're alive. Very nice to Mr. Bill Gates. He's going to give everything to charity. I want to see it give it to you while you're alive. Sell all of it that you have. His wife, whoever the heck it is. Yeah, his wife. Another bright light. What do you need all this? So when you turn it, right, this where selfishness comes. I only want to receive, and I want to receive it for myself. Now you want to give, and that's the difference between Jews. Jews always want to give. They want to give. They want to help. Sometimes they help their enemies more than they help their own people, but they always want to give. When we do so, we create a new light. We create a reflective light. In other words, if you want to have light, you want to have power, you want to have happiness and wealth, you want to have all these things, give. Help other people. Make sure that other people are going to have light and wealth, food on the table. It's very sad that your garbage eats more than what people eat over Shabbat than what people eat over a month. What do you need so much? Share it with people. I mean, you just think about like what happens here. You work hard for your money. You work hard. You go, you cook, you spend energy, you do all these things. And who do you feed? The garbage. Toilet. But the garbage. You have to throw everything to the garbage. Isn't that crazy? If I'm going to tell you, for example, let's say over a weekend you spend $500. So let's say I'll calculate how much you ate. You ate $100. But I say, please give me $400 and throw it in the garbage. Oh, what are you doing? Well, that's what you just did. Give it to others. You have knowledge. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with people. Whatever God blessed you, share it with people. What's the big deal? When you give, you create more place to receive more. And that's the way it goes. And then we need to understand, of course, I'm going to skip a little bit. We know that we all have a lot of weaknesses. And probably we have more weaknesses than we have strengths. So really, how do you prevent this trap? And how do you prevent this trap from not falling to a place of feeling helpless and without doing anything because it's all bad and so on and so on? How do you do that? So we need to understand that our actions, when our actions are actually accompanied with a kavanah to help people, and to make people happy, and so on and so forth, then the whole initial thought of creation is actually being fulfilled. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this world leheitiv im bruav. So if you ever wondered, how is it that I can become a partner with God in creation? Well, you execute what He created this world for. The world was created to help people. And if you help people, you become partners with God in this endeavor. So when you do so, you are connected to enlightenment, right? In a different form, and that light, in a way, changes who you are. You're not selfish, and it really changes and transforms you to something else. And that allows us to receive more light and to go up higher and higher and higher and higher. The truth of the matter is, for example, Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was the most humble person out there, and he was reached the highest level that a human can reach in closest to Hashem. Because all he did was helping people. That was his whole thing. He gave for himself, it was humble. So, we need to, and then when you do so, right, that would determine if what you get from Hashem, by your way of giving, if that you're getting, is it going to be a bracha or is it going to be a klala? Our life is very subjective, and this dualism in our life, that zigzag, that we go all the time between bracha and klala, cursing and blessing, is really depending on us. So we started with Re'eh, and we're ending in the parasha of Nevi Sheker, of a false prophet, to remind us that we don't really know what it is that we're seeing, and if what we're seeing is really correct. However, the only glasses that are always valid, and that we always know that you can reach life appropriately, well, first of all, will be Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and you should love your fellow human being as much as you care about yourself. That's what it's all about. Of love, of compassion, of giving in order to receive, but giving and giving and giving all the time. And that's the way in which we need to go. And when it says, Bekol derachecha da'ahu, in all your ways you should know Hashem. In other words, everywhere I go, I contemplate on God. Look at us this way. The derech, what is derech that you're going to go to? That's the halacha. Lehalech. Where are you walking? Lehalech is to go, to walk. Halacha is something that you walk. Where do you walk? In the derech. So ultimately, what is the derech? What's the way in which you should take yourself? Besides Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, which is very nice, but I don't have the tools to implement it. The way to implement it is to learn halacha and to know halacha and to make sure that all our actions are based on halacha, not on desire, not on ta'ava. The way of halacha, that's the way of Hashem. And as we say last week regarding the parasha, bechol levavcha bechol nafshecha, also when you are, that applies to also when you're in a state of tiredness, that you're really tired. Give me whatever you have at whatever level that you're at. Don't tell me I'm at this level, therefore I am not giving anything. I cannot give. Whatever level that you're at, give. But for crying out loud, just give. Just give. It doesn't make a difference what you do. Give something. My mother told me, said, listen, it doesn't make a difference what you bring me as a gift for my birthday. You can give me a napkin. As long as you give it with all your heart. It doesn't make a difference. I would rather get a napkin that you give it to me willingly than a bouquet of $100 that you felt like you have to give it to me. And that's something for us to remember as well. Do things because you want to, not because you have to. And that's what it says. Kshata ayef, when you're walking in the desert and you're tired, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu love us so much? Because even when we were tired, even when we were in the desert, even in a place of uncertainty, we still went after God. We said, okay, and that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to us, Belechtech acharai bamidbar 40 shana. When you followed me for 40 years in the desert, when it was hard, when it was difficult, the great affection of God to us, and even when we were tired, we were seeking after Him. The great affection of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though that He's not in our life, so-called for 2,000 years, we still seek His closeness. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu likes us. Every single day for 2,000 years we went in to see his house built, not our house built, his house built. Why? So the whole entire world would benefit. When we cry for Mashiach and we cry for Ve'yah Hashem lemelech al kol haaretz, it's for the benefit of the world, for the benefit of creation, for the sake of God's name, not for your sake or anybody else's sake. When you live your life like this, you see the involvement of God in everything in your life. This kind of life is a bracha. Life without a meaning, life without God is a curse. Shabbat Shalom.